Afternoon, everybody, and welcome. My name is Dana Crane. I am the product manager for the API portals that CA puts out. And I'm happy to be here today to talk about our brand new SaaS portal 2.0. So last year at this time at CA World, we were on stage talking about the first release of our SaaS portal, version 1.0. We're back again this year to talk about the evolution of that into a hybrid portal. So what we've got this time around is SaaS 2.0, which introduces a number of new paradigms. Number one is you can buy this as SaaS or as hybrid. We've also opened up the platform, so now it's actually API driven, and it's fully analytics capable as well. So some key features here. I'm just going to go into some detail about in the next few slides, and then I'm going to hand it over to our lead customer market share. Sandeep is going to come up and tell you about his experience working with our SaaS portal. So bear with me for a few minutes. I'm just going to take you through some of the key features and functionality that we'll be introducing in just a few weeks. First off is analytics. So with SaaS 1.0 last year, we introduced the basics. How do I troubleshoot what's going on? What's happening with my API? What's happening with my application? That last hit felt a little laggy. What's going on with that? So operational metrics was our focus in 1.0. This year, we've up-leveled that, and we've gone for the business analytics. And those business analytics are really allowing me to take a new slice, a new look at the way my API management initiative is evolving. One of the key things we've done here is brought in ad hoc reporting. So any information captured on the gateway, you can now go ahead and create a report against that. So I'm not just using canned reports, I can get access to whatever information and plot it any way I want. The next thing up is dashboarding. So maybe you want to make those reports available to your management team. They want to track that over time. Key performance indicators that I want to look at. That's provided as well. So being able to dashboard your key performance indicators, see what's happening over time, how it's evolving, that's also included out of the box. But you want to also take that to the next step. So now your manager can see those dashboards, he can talk about what's happening with those KPIs, he can see what's happened in the past, but what's going to happen in the future. Where is your API management initiative headed? That's where you can extend this solution, and you can talk about things like covariance, things like forecasting, and be able to apply those against what you're seeing and be able to use it in a very predictive manner to understand where your API management is heading in the future. So that's some of the key stuff we've rolled into our reporting capabilities. But we've also got another key piece. So if you think of the way that we win business, it's because we can very easily configure a solution to most of your business problems. That's been our heritage for the last 12, 13 years, being able to create policy that is tailored to your business that can be adapted very, very quickly over time to adjust to your changing business. That kind of configurability goes hand in hand with what we've introduced on the portal called custom fields. Now these custom fields are tied to that custom policy. You could think of creating a solution by building out an API to solve that business problem. That's heavy lifting, and that's a lot of work, a lot of resources, a lot of time. And it's very brittle to change as well. So as your business evolves, you're going to have to rebuild that API to address those new changes, those new challenges. With custom fields and custom policy, all you need is a configuration change to be able to adapt those policies to the way that your business is evolving. Tightly coupling that with a custom field for any API that I publish on the portal side allows you to very easily adapt to change over time. We've also, as I mentioned before, fully API enabled this portal set. So if I want to build my portal into my build and runtime initiatives, for example, if I have a build process that creates my API and I want to inject that into the portal, as the end of my build process, I can then go ahead and issue a command through our APIs, our portal APIs, and be able to instantiate that API within the portal, create the interactive doc on the fly, and also update my catalog. So now I've registered that API within the portal itself without ever having using the GUI. So with version 1.0, we created a wonderful little touch sensitive sort of mobile first GUI for you to be able to work with this application. But now we can sidestep that GUI and work directly with the portal APIs. There's no need to go to the GUI in order to get anything done. And finally, I'm going to talk a little bit about hybrid, which is one of the key things we're doing here. So if you think of the two pieces that our portal provides, we provide you with a portal, which is basically your design time aspect. How do I discover an API? How do I work with an API? How do I understand how it operates, play with it, help me get that first leg up on building my application. But we've also got the runtime aspect, and that's the gateway that backs the portal. And the runtime aspect is really the business critical aspect, the mission critical aspect that you want control over. So we've made that possible now today to take that gateway from the SaaS deployment, put it on premise and have you manage it. So what's the advantage there? The advantage is, number one, you get control over that mission critical component of your initiative. All of the applications calling your back-end APIs are going to go through that gateway, so you've got better ability to scale it, you've got better control over that last mile so you can secure it, plus you probably want to integrate with your back-end applications and services as well. So being able to integrate to other things such as your on-premise LDAP, for example, it makes it much easier for you guys to do. So with that, our hybrid version will be available in just a few weeks. And that's our 2.0 wrap up. I'm going to go ahead and pass the baton off to Sandeep of Market Share, who's going to give you an idea of what it's been like over the last little while to work with our 1.0 platform.
So thank you, Dana, for the introduction. How is everybody doing? Anybody having a hot streak at the casinos? Not me either, I'm Sandeep, and I work for Market Share. I have been with the security and identity management space for the last 15 years. In my last job, I managed one of the largest implementation of SiteMinder, which had about 70 million users in its user store. So that was for HP.com and HP Shopping and all these sites that you have gone through in last few years. But today I'm going to talk about a story on how the Market Share team was able to implement CA API portal, a SaaS offering, in a very, very rapid manner. Because we had such a tight deadlines, we had maybe 2 or 3 weeks to do a POC, just 2 or 4 weeks, for example, to get our first release out the door, and how we were able to do that using the product and the SaaS offering. So who has heard of Market Share here? Hey, a few folks, cool. Must be from the ad industry. So what do we do as a Market Share as a company? And to explain that, I will have to borrow a quote from John Wanamaker. He is the famous marketing pioneer. And he said, half the money I spend on advertising is a waste. The trouble is, I don't know which half, right? And that's exactly the problem that Market Share is trying to solve, right? We help our companies, our customers, or the marketers, and we tell them how their advertising dollars are best spent. What kind of budget, what part of their budget is basically bringing the best ROI, and how they can optimize the rest of the budget so that they can get best bang for the buck, right? So we are a leader in predictive analytics in terms of optimizing marketing budget. And our leadership was 2 weeks ago acknowledged by the marketplace. We were acquired by a company called Newstar. And so in a couple of weeks, we would be a Market Share, a Newstar company. So that's pretty nice. So what do we do is we actually offer a lot of course correction. So for example, let's say if you are spending money on different marketing channels, be it offline, online, TV, and all these different channels that you can spend money on, and we basically do an attribution. Attribution is we can basically credit the certain marketing channels for the revenue that you are getting. And based off of that, we're going to optimize your budget. And while doing that, we also give you an ability to create different scenarios. So for example, if you want to hit a certain target, a sales target, or if you want to maximize your profit, how can you do that while optimizing your budget? So we basically just give you a tool. You can click on certain things. You can say, okay, my marketing budget is going to be down by 10% this year. how can I spread that cut across channels? Maybe I don't want to cut anything from online, and maybe I can cut maybe 3% from the offline channels, and so on and so forth. So we give you some awesome tools that are coming up here. Sorry. So these are some of the tools that we offer. Strategy is what we call a top-down model, where we tell you that if we have 20 or 30 channels that we are spending money on, based on the attribution, we create different models and basically help you optimize the budget. And the things, the kind of scenarios that I just talked about is handled by this strategy application. Then we also have an application called Action, which is our digital attribution and also planning module. So when you go to Amazon and buy something, before that, you must have gone and saw an ad on ESPN or Yahoo. Maybe 3 days ago, you also saw a search result on your Google search page, and so on. So we basically say, okay, these are certain events that help this buyer buy that particular product. So it basically provides an insight into the conversion process. We can say that 30% of the credit should go to the display ad, 20% of the credit should go to search results, and maybe 30% doesn't go anywhere because the user might have bought that product anyways. Just give me a second. We also have a product called Price. We do dynamic pricing for some of the NFL teams, some of the Major League Baseball teams. Live Nation, everybody has been to Live Nation to buy the concert tickets. So we do dynamic pricing for Live Nation as well. Benchmark is our planning application. It's been used by some of our big customers like Google. And TV is basically a product that we just launched a few months ago that tells you what's the impact of your TV advertising on your sale. And so we have pretty big customers. Most of our customers are Fortune 100 customers in different verticals. Like finance, we have Fidelity, E-Trade. We already mentioned Google. We have Uber as a customer, for example, using Action. And we have customers like Bose, high-end retailers like Neiman Marcus, and so on. So what we did before everything happened last year, these applications that you just saw were different applications, right? So they had their own user store. So when the user comes in, he would log into one application. Then the ad agency guy used to launch another application. He had to log in again, and so on and so forth, right? So SSO was pretty critical, and we implemented single sign-on. With the market share decision cloud branding. So now the ad agencies can come in, the users can come in, they can do single sign-on. All our big clients, they already use multiple products, and they can do single sign-on. So it was great. We use the SAML-based approach. We use the product called CloudMinder, another CA product, pretty awesome product as well. And the implementation cycle for that was also pretty small because although we had to retrofit our applications, the changes were not that great. We were able to just isolate some changes in a particular piece of code, and we were able to get this portal up and running very, very, very quickly. However, this did not actually solve all our use cases, right? And that's what we're going to talk about. That's how we started using API management portal. So what were the challenges after the SAML implementation? So most of our power users are ad agency users, right? And when they go and present to their customers, they want to show their own UI. They don't want to show market share UI, right? And so they wanted access to our APIs directly instead of going and showing our UI. And SAML and Shibboleth was not really well equipped to protect the APIs, especially the REST APIs, SOAP APIs, maybe yes. Some of our clients also wanted OAuth kind of an implementation to secure our APIs. And of course, I mentioned Google as one of our clients, and they did not want their employees to use our own authentication system that we had using Portal. Because let's say if an employee leaves Google, they did not want somebody else to revoke access at 50 different sites. And so they wanted us to use their own OpenID implementation. Their security group was pretty hard. They put their foot down and said, we need to implement this within few weeks, right? Otherwise, we might have to shut down access for a few weeks until you implement that. So we were kind of under a little bit of a pressure to get that implemented. So to solve this problem, I started looking at different tools that are in the marketplace, pretty nice tools that we have. And when we started looking at the tools, we also started looking at doing POC with all the tools, right? And at this point, I must give a shout out to Jimmy here from CA. He did pretty awesome job. And Jimmy, if you can raise your hand so that everybody can see you. Cool. So he did pretty cool job in making sure that all the pieces for the POC were in place. He also brought in an awesome engineer called Jeff Duck for our POC. And we were doing POC with not just one vendor, right? With multiple vendors. And I did not see the kind of support that we saw from GV and CA. So when we started the POC, Jimmy brought Duck at our facility in our office, and we had like a rehash of requirements in the morning with our India team. And after they dropped off the call, Jimmy, Jeff, I, and a few other folks were huddled up in a small room. And while we were doing a lot of whiteboarding, and Jeff was doing a lot of coding the policies. And while he was coding the policies, he was also letting me know how everything works, how the API, the policy language works. And so it was like a great experience for me. It was a free training for a day, one-on-one training, which was very, very beneficial for me in the later stages. And believe it or not, within a day, we had our POC done. And we were able to show that to our India team at night. Right, so that tells you the power of the tool. You could turn around things pretty quickly. We could do certain things within a day. With certain other tools, I was like experimenting, and I was trying to get things done for like 3 or 4 days, waiting for answers. But this was done within a day. So it was very clear that this was the tool we might have to go with. And we got lucky also in a way where CA was also launching a beta program for SaaS Portal. And at that time they asked us whether you would be interested in signing up for this. And of course we were delighted because we are a small company. We don't have a large budget where we can have multiple devices for redundancy and so on in multiple data centers. We could not afford to hire people for maintaining an installation of the software, right? And some of these things that Rahim also kind of stressed on yesterday, where we could focus on our core competency and leave the security business to the experts. And also, we can code, we can write the policies, but the maintenance part was left to CA because it was a SaaS offering. So after the POC, after we signed the contract, we took a couple of sprint cycles to integrate maybe 50 or 60 APIs so that we could have some of the customers use our APIs directly. And these 2-week sprint cycles, there were 2 of them. We were able to implement all the policies, unit test it, and within maybe 2 or 3 weeks more, because we had to go through rigorous QA process from both sides. Since we are sprint, we also have QA implemented as part of sprint cycle, right? So our QA was done, but the QA from the partner side still had not been completed. And so the entire process took maybe 6 to 8 weeks. And by the end of 8 weeks, we had our client using our APIs, which were protected by the SaaS portal. Similar thing with Google. We could have done the OpenID Connect implementation ourselves, but the tool was there, right? And tool really allowed us to get this implementation done much sooner than if we would have done it by ourselves. And so in that case, though, I must admit that we had to rely on some help from CA Services, and they did a great job. I think John from CA Services were very, very helpful, and he was able to code that within a week or maybe 7 days. And then we added some changes. We then again audited our infrastructure, the policies and everything with Google, because they are very fanatical about the security. And so I would have loved to have a demo, but I can't do that on these computers. But when the user guides, when the Google guides come in, they can actually use their Google email account to log in. Any other email account wouldn't work. And then we get the attribute for that user from Google. And from that point on, our application takes over, because at that point, they know who the user is, what the user attributes are, and so on and so forth. So pretty nice success stories in terms of getting the APIs implemented, getting the Google users on board, having done that in 4 to 8 weeks for both solutions. I think I would highly recommend for people who are considering it, to at least give it a shot. It's very, very nice product. And I had no experience with CA API management solution before, but I was able to pick it up, within maybe a month or so, with good amount of support, with good amount of training, and a lot of help from CA professional services, as well as from Jeff, the sales engineer. So at this point, I would like to open it up for any questions you might have for either Dana or I, in terms of implementation, or in terms of products, or in terms of offering.
So how many servers did you set up, and the platforms wise, how much did you have to start with?
Oh, for the SaaS offering? So when we go for SaaS offering, CA always told us that there would be redundancy built in, right? So if one server goes down, the traffic would always switch to other server. So the minimal redundancy was always built in. In terms of our traffic, it's not that high. So we were not expecting, there was a gentleman yesterday I was talking to from Sonos, right? And they have lots of users coming in, playing different playlists, and they are implementing with Apple and everything. And so we were not getting that kind of traffic. Our traffic is pretty low. So I think we were able to get that thing away with 2 servers with redundancy.
Yeah, out of the box, we have a capacity for 500 transactions per second. In this case, that was enough to handle their traffic, so there wasn't any need to augment the service. But you certainly can. We make available extra transaction per second. You just have to purchase an extra gateway to handle that extra traffic.
All right.
Sandeep, can you share a little bit more about the feedback you got from the Google users? I mean, they're a very, very important partner of market shares, and maybe any kind of feedback you got from them in terms of utilizing the solution, then also from other folks within market share, William and maybe some other people that had
The
contact.
feedback from market share folks?
Yes.
Okay. So market share at the company, pretty fast paced. Everything needs to be done within few weeks in sprint cycles. And so the market share people were like, okay, business as usual, because you got things done within span of 4 to 8 weeks, right? If it was another company, it would have taken us quite a bit of time to go through different processes and getting the buy-ins and so on and so forth. But overall, I think the people that manage the clients, they were very happy that we were able to get all these things done within the deadline that was given to us. And the feedback from the clients also was pretty positive, because we met their requirements. In terms of Google also, we met their requirements. We went through their audit, we passed their audit, So I think the feedback was pretty positive overall. Sure.
So do you do anything else on the gateways besides providing OpenID authentication? Do you utilize any other functionality?
Sorry, I can't hear.
You want to know if there was anything other than just OpenID Connect. Did you use any other authentication?
Oh, other than OpenID Connect, as we said, we were already using the CloudMinder implementation from Mycroft, and we have a couple of folks there from Mycroft as well. So we use their implementation using SAML-based authentication for our portal. And SAML's pretty standard. I'm sure like most of you guys are already using it. And so yeah, that was our own, that was our original implementation for authenticating the users.
And I'll just add a couple of things on. Out of the box, our solution comes with what we call our OAuth toolkit, and that provides you with ability to do OAuth 1, OAuth 2, all the grant types as well if you want to protect your API that way. OpenID Connect is actually an extension of the OAuth 2 protocol, and that's where we leverage that. That, again, is provided out of the box, but it needs to be tailored for your specific implementation, which is where we provide some services to help Sandeep and MarketShare be able to tailor that OpenID Connect for their Google customer.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a great show, and enjoy the concert tonight. Thank you.
Thanks very much.